Hello, my darlings. Spend a day with me while we chat. Before we set the ball rolling, a quick disclaimer. I am not here to challenge your faith or your pastor. I don't have all the answers. I am just asking real questions, trying to understand God and spirituality beyond surface level explanations. This is for people who want to think, unlearn, relearn, and have honest conversations, not just repeating what we've been told. All right. Now, you know what's always bothered me about prayer? If God already knows everything, past, present, future, if He already has a plan, why are we praying? I remember being 12, lying in bed, asking God for something I wanted so badly. Halfway through, I stopped. A thought hit me. Does this even matter? Is God thinking, oh well, I wasn't going to do that, but since you asked, that didn't make sense then. It still doesn't make sense entirely. But here's the thing. I still pray, and I think that contradiction might actually be the whole point. Now, most of us were taught that prayer is a cosmic vending machine. Put in your request, have enough faith, and boom, answered prayers. But we've all prayed for things that never came. We've watched people with incredible faith pray for healing, pray for miracles, etc., and nothing happened. Then we're told it wasn't God's will. But then why pray at all? I think about when I prayed the hardest, usually when I was desperate, a loved one in the hospital, money running out. Those prayers weren't theology. They were gut level cries for help. Sometimes things worked out, sometimes they didn't, but something always changed. It wasn't always a circumstance. Most of the time, it was me. There is this story that fascinates me. Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, sweating drops of blood, begging, Father, if it's possible, let this cup pass from me. This is Jesus. If anyone knew the plan, it was him. Yes, there he is, asking for something different. Then he adds, nevertheless, not my will, but yours. I used to think that was giving up, but that prayer, that agonizing conversation was necessary, not to change God's mind, but to change Jesus' heart. He needed to wrestle with it, to be honest about his fear, his pain, and in that brutal honesty, he found strength to walk the path already before him. Maybe that's what prayer really is, not changing God's mind, but aligning our hearts with what is and what must be. When you pray for patience, you end up in situations that require it. When you pray for courage, you wake up facing something scary and you have to choose it anyway. Prayer doesn't remove the storm, it prepares you to walk through it. My grandmother prayed every morning. Her life wasn't easy. She buried a child, nursed my grandfather through illness, knew poverty and heartbreak, but there was a steadiness about her. I asked her once, does God always answer your prayers? She smiled and said, He always answers. Sometimes yes, sometimes no, and sometimes not yet, but I'm with you while you wait. Now here's what I think happens in prayer. When we bring our fears and hopes before God or the universe or whatever you call that presence bigger than us, we are forced to get honest. Ever notice how when you pray about something, you suddenly become aware of everything else you're carrying? Prayer turns on the lights in the rooms of our hearts that we usually keep dark. And in that light, something shifts. We realize what we thought we needed isn't what we actually need. Over the years, I have prayed for certain things. Career opportunities, relationships, health, you name them. But I didn't get them. I was angry, confused, frustrated. But looking back now, if I had gotten them, I wouldn't have taken the path that led to the most meaningful experiences of my life today. So, the no was an answer, just not the one I wanted. However, let's be real. What about prayers with no happy ending? The child who doesn't get healed, the job that doesn't come, life struggles that does not get better. I don't have an answer for that. Anyone who claims to have a neat explanation for suffering is selling something. What I know is this: prayer has never been a guarantee against pain. Maybe it's more like a conversation in the dark. Speaking into the darkness reminds you that you're not a passive victim. You have a voice, agency, the ability to reach out even when you can't see. So, the paradox of prayer isn't meant to be solved. It is meant to be lived in. We still live our lives forward, moment by moment. We still wake up not knowing what the day will bring. And in that not knowing, prayer becomes how we orient ourselves and practice trust when everything feels out of control. Nevertheless, I still pray. Not because I've figured it all out. I pray because I need to. In the praying, I find myself. I find peace that doesn't depend on getting what I want. Maybe that's the real miracle. Not that prayer moves God's hand, but that it moves the human heart. Maybe God doesn't need our prayers. Maybe we do. Prayer doesn't have to be perfect or eloquent. Sometimes prayer is just being honest with yourself, with the universe, with whatever might or might not be listening. Sometimes prayer is just saying, I am here, I am struggling, and I'm grateful that I'm still here. So I think you should keep asking questions, keep wrestling, keep being honest about your doubts. That might be the most authentic prayer of all. What about you guys? What's your relationship with prayer? Has it changed you? Or are you still waiting for it to change your circumstances? I would love to hear your thoughts. And please subscribe for more vlogs. And catch you in the next dose. Bye!